Good morning, Ozarks and the rest of the world in Springfield. This is Steve McAllister, and this is Silver Linings, and we're glad you made it. Boy, it sure is a big difference from a week ago today, weather-wise. Matt, I was stuck in the snow. I mean, I think a lot of people were stuck in the snow.
Yeah, I was the only one here last week.
Yeah. Were you by your lonesome?
I was by myself last week here. That's crazy.
It was crazy. I mean, those people were slipping and sliding all over the place.
Yes, it was pretty bad. So, yeah.
Yeah. And big difference. I mean, it was 63 yesterday here.
Yeah, I was going to ride my motorcycle in the ice. We got... hang on. Wait. No, there, we're back. Continue.
It's one of those days, but hey, you know what? God's in the midst of trials and tribulation.
All right, we're good now. We're good. Go ahead. Sorry, continue.
So, as I was saying, no, we need to remember Jay and his family and his brother's family. So, all right, well, we've got a great show for you folks lined up. We have a very special guest, I think, in my book, and I'm sure your book, and if anybody really knows anything about 70s and 80s Christian rock, you'll know about Petra.
Right.
And
Petra!
Yeah, and the original lead singer, I call the original lead, Greg X. Volz, his daughter Jonna is our guest today. And
are you wanting me to go ahead and put her on over there for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here she is.
This is Jonna Volz. I did say that correct, right?
Yes, Jonna? It's Jonna Volz.
Okay, good. Okay, I always want to make sure because some people say, well, that's not exactly the way you say it, but I'm glad I said that right. And so how?
Yeah, it gets said wrong often.
What was that?
It gets said wrong often.
It gets said, incorrectly frequently.
Oh, good. Well, then, well, of course, our you and I's mutual friend Deborah, she says it often enough to where I'm listening and I'm like, well, I'm picking it up and I better say it right. It is.
You did good.
Good. So things going well for you?
Yeah, just staying busy and doing all the irons in the fire, like at least 4 or 5 things going on at one time, about the way I like it.
Well, yeah, you know what? See, I was always told that if you have a lot of fires or irons in the fire, it'll keep you busy and out of trouble, but then depends on the irons in the fire.
Yeah, that's true.
And but I'm sure that you've got a lot going for you, and man, with the projects that you've got coming up, I'm sure that you're going to be one busy lady at least for the rest of the year. And with
I hope so. That's the idea.
Yeah. Now, well, we'll get to that later. I'm just going to say, I think your dad said something, or I guess is Petra planning on coming back to Branson? Do you know?
I don't know exactly. We don't have the dates confirmed. I've been talking to Jeff Steele at the Galois, and we've been actually talking for a couple of years, right before the pandemic. And so he and I are supposed to meet up and talk about, if we can fit them into the roster and play at the Galois.
Oh, that would be great. Because, as you already know, when they came to the event center here in Branson back in November, I think it was a success. Everybody talked about it, and a lot of people are still talking about it from at least the Branson. And then that was really nice of Marshall Meadows to go ahead and give us those pictures, take those professional pictures, and they turned out really, really nice.
Yeah, it was a really special event for sure. And it was great for the band just to kind of get back in the saddle after, the pandemic and being shut down. And so it also gave us a lot of opportunity to see where we need to, fix this, fix that, be prepared for this. And buy some more gear for the band. You know, it's always a good excuse. It's a good excuse to go buy more stuff.
That's right. And yeah, actually, that was their first time out since the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yes, it was,
And
and
so that
so
was a
ready.
great that was a great comeback too. And
Yeah,
he's
it was a great little venue and had a nice crowd and really really nice people that were working with the venue. Great connections, and hopefully we'll get to work with those people in the future on other projects as well.
I'm looking forward to that. So, um, I guess you were born here in Springfield, and lucky you. and but sure, but soon found yourself moving to Nashville so that your dad Greg could be near his band Petra. Wasn't that hard for you at first?
I was 5. I don't know.
I guess it wouldn't be that
When
hard.
you're 5, you're like, okay, we're moving, and I had gone to my grandfather, Bill Britton, built a church here called House of Prayer, and then he established a school, a Christian school called the Park Avenue Christian School that used what they called PACES, which was like a independent, almost like individual learning, but in a group setting. So I went to that school for like kindergarten. And then when we moved to Nashville, I was like, okay, we'll start first grade, Haywood Elementary, and McMurray Middle School, and Overton High School. So the majority of my youth and growing up was in that town.
So I guess you didn't have a hard time as you grew up, and did a lot of people get to know who you were through your dad's music, or was it kind of hard growing up and being a teenager in the Nashville area, knowing who your dad was? And
I think in Nashville, when you're in a town like that where a lot of celebrities and music people live, it's really not a big deal. I mean, we went to church, to Belmont Church, and with Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant and some other bands, and like I babysat for Michael W. And then Amy Grant had a music program. Well, she did this special thing for the youth group. We would go to her barn and do worship services there. She taught my Sunday school class a couple times, so it really wasn't. I mean, there's not a lot of people in that area at that time that were starstruck,
right.
because you're like, wow, it's just another person, another working musician in the Nashville area. From my perspective, anyways, and maybe that's just because my mom kept us, protected. But we were busy. We were busy doing our own thing while my dad was off touring.
Well, yeah, I guess when you're in a family like that or in a family setting, you I was always told you put your pants on the same way everybody else does. It's not a big deal. And everybody else is starstruck, and you're like, well, no big deal. That he's just another guy. He's my dad. But then to other people, it's like, whoa, no, no, that's your dad. Well, yeah. I was that way for a while too. When you go into a town like that, and you go against or you go with people that are already friends with these people, and they kind of look at you strange, like, why? They give you looks. I've had people give me looks. It's like, what's so big about that? They're just friends. Anyway, moving on. Once you did get settled, your mom Becky helped out quite a bit with acting and dance lessons. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. We got
She did a lot for
connected
you.
right away to into just taking lessons and being creative and putting all of our wild energy somewhere productive.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned too that you did some songwriting with your dad, and you did a couple of songs, or you wrote a couple songs, and your dad sang them on stage with you, or you sang
Yeah, that would have been like 30 years later. Yeah. Not when I was a kid. Are we still talking about when I'm a kid, or are we like going forward
Oh
into
yeah,
adulthood?
I sorry about that. I kind of jumped ahead there, But didn't you do some things when you were a kid with your dad? I
I
thought you
mean, we
did.
went on tour.
Yeah, I thought you
Yeah,
went on
we were
stage.
in some of his music videos.
That's what I
When
meant.
he
Yeah.
went, yeah, when he went solo, I was in a few of his solo songs, which were that was interesting. But you just want to talk about Petra, right? Just the Petra
No.
days?
Yeah, just
Oh,
Petra Day. I want to talk about you because it's your. I'm here to talk about you, really.
oh, okay.
I know that also growing up, uh, Jonna, while you were working in Nashville at the Children's Theater, you also did voiceovers and you did working. You worked for the Benson Company and you did all kinds of things. And you did quite a few things. In fact, you did some really special things. Tell us about that.
When I was a kid, well, some of the stuff that we did, I probably because my mom she worked in the management side of the Petra band, so she had a lot of connections and knew a lot of studio people and was aware of what people were doing. So that led to an opportunity for myself and my siblings, including Natalie Hemby, who's a huge songwriter right now in Nashville. She stayed in the area and has just working her booty off for decades. And but when we grew up, we all kind of ran in a little pack together, and we would get hired to go into the studio and sing and act out characters for musicals that were written for youth groups for churches. So they were like Christian kids musicals. And then sometimes they would actually video them. So we would act them out and then they would film them and they would give that package of like the video and the cassette and the songbook to the youth groups at these churches so that they could, put on the musicals themselves and they had some kind of an example. So, we were in the studio a lot and we were, on set, on camera, acting out plays, and then also doing community theater, which was fun. Um, so that's some of the stuff that I did and, until I got an agent and started acting with other people. So
You like I said, you had your hands full when you were a little. But actually, you got a big. I consider it a big break. But back when you were 14, you got signed on to AIM Talent Agency, and you actually got a chance to work with Reba McEntire. Tell us about that.
yeah, that was really neat. I had done a couple of country music videos and other little acting things, but then that was the first dramatic one, like where I was the star of the music video along with her. And so I auditioned and I did what they told me in the audition, and I guess it was good enough because they said you got the part. And so I showed up on set just outside of Nashville, and they got me all ready, and then I just followed directions all day and acted out the part and got to meet Reba. She stopped by set and she was really, really sweet and hung out with us for a while. We were there, I think, probably till sunset, like sun up to sundown. It was a long day, and then lo and behold, it became one of the most iconic country music videos of all time,
Fancy was the name of it.
and it was called Fancy. Yeah.
I think I've only seen that. My wife said that she remembers seeing the video a couple times, but now I'm going to have to go back on YouTube and watch it.
Yeah, that's the 15-year-old version of me. So it's funny because in the song, the lyrics say, that she was 18 and it was the summer. It was not the summer. It was a very chilly day in February. And you can see in the music video that there is like no greenery on the trees. There is no green grass. It is most definitely
Oh no,
uh,
that's
a
funny.
winter season.
That's funny. I love how they try to tell you, that, especially when they're doing Christmas videos, and then it's like July, and you're sweating, and
Oh
it's like
yeah.
you're singing Christmas songs, and you're sweating, and you're and
Yeah. Well,
people
if
are
we remember, I'll tell you a story about a movie that I directed in 2020
sure.
where we had a similar challenge that I had to put my actors through.
Sure.
No, I was just going to get to it later,
Oh.
chronologically.
Um, but yeah, and I love it when people don't realize when you're trying to put a music video together, especially if it's a seasonal, and you're doing Christmas in July, and you're all bundled up, and you're like looking like you're freezing, but actually
Wedding.
it's like
Yeah, it's really hard.
nine, 95 degrees outside, and
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Well,
because it's
I
bundled up.
tell the actors that I teach, I remind everybody that acting hurts. I even have like a TikTok video about it. Acting hurts. It's hot and it's cold and it's sticky and it's sweaty and you get scratches and bruises and I mean everybody thinks, celebrities are like all this, but really they're just puppets. They just have to do what they're told unless they're the director or the producer or the writer. So I like to encourage my actors to take more control and produce their own work. But that's current. So let's go back in time. So we're talking about my childhood. What other questions do
Yes.
you have about that?
Well, I know that I was going to tell you, as far as your kids, or as far as when you were a kid growing up, being with your dad and everything was, I'm sure there was a lot of challenges, school and things like that. What was it like as far as school work and things like that? Was there a lot of mental and physical challenges growing up
I mean,
through
I
school?
think again, I my mom got us involved in a lot of stuff when I was a really young age, and my dad was touring since I could remember. So it wasn't I mean, the only challenge was, is dad going to be in town for my recital or is he not? He couldn't always be there because he was on the road so much. I mean, one year he was on the road almost every single day of the year. It's crazy. Um, and but it was fun because every once in a while during the summers when we weren't in school, we would get to go on tours. So we got to ride on the tour bus and sleep in the bunks and hang out with the band. And they would play Monty Python's The Holy Grail on repeat. So we grew up memorizing that movie. If you ever talk to Louis Weaver, even
Hmm.
John Lowry, both of them, especially Louis, he and my dad throw out Monty Python quotes nonstop. So it's pretty fun.
Oh man, that must have those bus rides must have been fun, fun, fun.
Yeah, yep. The lull of the hum of the bus is something that I realized was very calming. It helped me go to sleep pretty easily. But yeah, I didn't see him very much. But it was fun when we were younger, especially during the real heyday of it. And they were in big stadiums, kind of like the JQH Arena, like that size of a place and bigger. Well,
Hmm.
maybe it just felt bigger because I was small. But we would hop off the bus and while the tour the grips the roadies were unloading all of the gear and putting their stage together, we would just go explore and we'd run around everywhere. Ben would usually stick around the sound booth. I would usually wander over to the merch table. Um, and then Heather, one time, she actually got to bring a guitar out on stage at a stadium show. So that was cool when she was like 5 or 6, something little. And so that
Oh,
was
cool.
fun. I do remember my very first autograph that which I haven't autographed hardly anything, but my very first one, I think I was 10 maybe. And uh, I was at one of those stadium shows and I was helping out with merch and I was giving someone a t-shirt and they recognized me as Greg's daughter and they said, are you his daughter? And I said, yeah. They said, will you autograph this for me? And I looked at them, I was like, what? I'm the daughter. I'm not. They're like, I don't care. And I was like, I don't even know what my autograph looks like. So I think after that, I started, would go home and like practice what my autograph, I could barely write in cursive at this time. So I was like, I need to know what my autograph looks like because apparently people are going to ask. So that was kind of funny.
Oh
But we got
man.
to hang out. My youth, we got to hang out with a lot of people. So just I saw Carmen, Twyla Paris, I mean, gosh, you name them. There were so many shows that Petra was playing in tandem with. So there would be, Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant, the chapter of second guys. I mean, it's just like even Andre Crouch, he came over to my grandfather's house and we just for dinner, there was just a lot of people that were just in my life on a regular basis as just people. And I'm like, oh, I know them. I got pictures with them. Oh yeah, we hung out backstage. Yeah, no, but it wasn't a big deal to me because it just, when you're a kid, that's just what it is, you know?
Right, right. Well, we're going to jump ahead. We don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to jump ahead and I guess you got yourself an acting job on a popular show with Claude Atkins and Carol O'Connor, and we know what show that was. It was In the Heat of the Night.
Yeah, yeah. The year I was 16, I feel like everything happened. So, the year after Fancy, I also went to a lot of, my mom had me go to a lot of uh, casting director workshops. And so I would go, to classes and stuff. And I got on the radar of some casting directors in Atlanta. And so because of that, when they had this role come up, they called my agent and said, "We want you to send Jonna to Atlanta to audition this." So I did that, and we actually were in the process of moving from Nashville to Orlando that year. And I remember specifically auditioning, going home, packing up, hitting the road, being in a hotel on the way to Orlando, and then getting the phone call saying you booked the job. And I was like, ah! So got to Orlando, unpacked my suitcase, repacked it, went to Atlanta, and filmed that for a week. And that was really, really cool. That was a great experience.
So, what was that like working with veteran actor like Carol O'Connor?
It was just
That
another
must
day
have
at
been,
work, man. It was,
and
I
that's
didn't
that's a
watch
good
the
answer.
show.
That's a good answer. It really is.
Yeah, I was, as a 16-year-old, I wasn't watching that show. I
Oh,
was, I didn't know any of those actors.
oh,
It was
okay.
just it was really neat for me to just experience being on a sound stage where they build the sets inside a big warehouse and they make it look like the inside of a house and just see how
Right.
that was made. So I enjoyed that. And then I actually had to do again, dramatic acting with lines this time where I speak. I get chloroformed and kidnapped and handcuffed, and my dad got shot. And it was all of the fun things. And then Claude Akins was such a sweetheart. He kidnapped me in that show, but he was just the gentlest giant. Oh my gosh. And it was neat because Carol O'Connor, he's a producer on the show. And so he had the final say on what I was going to wear because it's this big. I was in my pajamas, and so it was a big like, what does she wear? Is she wearing a nightgown? Like, is it a t-shirt? Like, can we see her underwear? What's he's like? So I tried on this and tried on this and like three different things, and we show him, and he says, okay, we're going to go with that, which is like little legging kind of things. Um, but he had a big say in what my wardrobe was. And Leo Penn was the director, who was Sean Penn's dad. And he was like 100 years old. I don't know. He's like an old guy. So that was neat. It was. I learned a lot from that, and I still use that experience when I'm teaching my actors today. Of what to expect.
Oh, well, that's great. So, well, you certainly have had your great years of music and acting. So, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently
Yep.
than what?
What you,
I don't
what would
get the
you,
question.
what would,
What would I do differently?
yeah, if you were to
You
do
mean
this, if you were to do this whole thing, what would, in all the great years of music and acting, everything that you've done in all the years, what would you do? Would you do anything differently, or would you keep it all the same with what you've done so far?
I think the only thing that I really regret is that I didn't push harder to get my songs recorded on an album and completed. So I'm hoping that maybe that will still happen someday.
Okay. So, So tell us now. I know you're helping your dad with resurrecting Petra and doing promo work. How can we get in touch with you now?
If you to do what to for
Well,
Petra?
yeah, for Petra or for yourself. If how can we get in touch with you if we want to get in touch with you to for your acting? Don't you have acting classes or don't you have something here in Springfield that you have here for young people?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I started an acting studio in 2015 here in Springfield, and I've been building that ever since. And I'm teaching. I teach acting workshops and do simulations to get actors on set so they can know what it's like to be in a TV show or a film and what it's like to work with a professional crew. And I help them write their original content and come up with their own characters and have video content for their acting reels, which you have to have acting reels along with headshots in order to get really good auditions or management and representation or self submissions for auditions. So I have a workshop coming up that's family friendly. We're going to shoot it at the Maze Galleria or the Maze Gelateria in downtown Springfield, and there's still a few spots open for that. So if they want to get involved with my coaching for acting, if you want to be an actor or see what it's like, you would go to actingforreal.net, which is acting forreal.net. If you are interested in getting in touch with the band and booking the band, you would email Greg at cprband.com.
Okay.
Or you can email me at jonnavolz@gmail.com. We have a show that is confirmed in Georgia on May 20th, and we are in the final stages of booking, confirming a concert in Orlando at the Christian International Film Festival on May 6th. And then we have another one in Philadelphia. So we'll be pretty busy in May and then getting ready for those shows. We might have a show in April, but we're waiting to kind of get that finalized. So it's it's not free to get a band to your venue, so you have to bring 5 people to do a Petra concert. It does cost money for travel and for the band to come, and but it's always an amazing show. So if there's anybody who's a real promoter or a publicist and they know how to promote these kind of concerts, definitely get a hold of me, and then I can help them book Classic Petra for their venue.
Oh, that's great. And so, Jonna, thank you so much for being a guest today. And we hope to have you back on. And we'd love to have your dad and the band come on and do an interview. That would be a lot of fun. And
I'll talk to
so
them
we're
about it for sure.
okay. And we're looking forward to having you back on again soon. And thank you.
Okay.
God bless. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Bye bye. Well, folks, thank you. This has been Silver Linings, and stay tuned now. Coming up is the episode of Changing Times and with Don Blackard and Lynn Morris, and we'll talk to you soon. Yeah, we stopped.
Oh, did you say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're still live.
Oh,
That's
hi, folks.
you better just It's
I'm sorry.
because it's only been 31 minutes. Bye, everybody.
Because I was looking at the time there.
Yeah, say bye. There's Jonna back again. Just
Bye.
bye.
I'm sorry, Jonna. I thought we were done.
Okay. Did you want to talk about something else?
No, I'm sorry. I've been in basket case all morning, so I'm sorry about being all over the place this morning.
Okay. Well, I'm like officially.